Switching to our bigger blade, we're going to add one grip to our reverse grip here. With a bigger blade, you have more profile to use. So one of the alternative grips, I just call this a shield grip. So it's a reverse grip, but I keep it super tight to my forearm so that I can use this as more of a forearm block. So when I do a rising block or a forearm style block, the impact of the arm hits the edge of the blade or whatever I'm defending against. So I have metal before it reaches my arm, so I have a lower risk of damaging myself when I do the block and damaging my attacker as that happens. Now, as we move on, we're going to move to our basic angles. I'm going to use the bigger blade here just so you can see it a little bit easier than the smaller blade. And I may even have the sheath on these so you can see these moving in the proper angle. The one thing to remember as I work my way through these basic angles is that the way you see it as the viewer is going to be opposite as the way I'm throwing it. So we're going to number these 1 through 12. Certain systems have way more numbers than the 12. However, when you break it down, the 12 basic angles covers every major angle that you're going to see. There's going to be subtle variations between each angle in line of attack. We can further simplify the 12 angles into 5, which I will get into later in the modules. So starting with the first angles, they're going to be your number 1 and number 2 line. So when we communicate in a system, you want to have common communication verbiage. So when I say I'm going to throw a number 1 line and a number 2 line, everybody understands what that is because we have the same common lines. If your system has different numbering, that's perfectly fine. Do not get caught up into the number of the line that I call it personally. Use whatever you know. Just understand the line itself. That's the most important part. So starting with our number 1 line, it's going to be a high right diagonal to a low left diagonal. So I'm going to start high, work my way low left. So that's just your basic diagonal strike. Your number 2 is the opposite side. So I start high left, work my way low right. So what am I doing? I'm just doing an X. So when we talk geometric shapes, you work your X. That's your 1 and 2 line in a downward motion. Okay? These are going to be 2 of your most common lines of attack that you can use and that you will see if you ever get attacked with a weapon. Your number 3 and 4 line, those are your horizontal lines. Okay? Your 3 line starts at your right, works horizontally to your left. 4 line starts at your left, works horizontally to your right. So you have your left and right. Okay? So you have your 1 line, your 2 line, your 3 line, your 4 line. The number 5 line is just a forward thrust. There are a couple different ways that you can thrust with a blade. You can thrust without a rotation, so you keep the edge oriented straight down. I like to thrust with a rotation that opens up the wound cavity, helps prevent the blade from getting stuck into the body cavity. When I turn, that also will add speed and precision and power into your strike, just like you're throwing a punch. The punches don't come in like this with a lot of power, however, you can punch like that. Your rotational power adds speed and torque to your punch, which equates to power. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, your 6 and 7 line, they essentially are a thrusting 1 and 2 line. There's my 6, there's my 7. So I'm leading with the tip. 6, 7. Okay, so this thrust downward at the number 1 angle, this thrust downward at the number 2 angle. These are lines number 6 and 7. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Your number 8 line is a forward circle. So when I rotate this, I'm going to bring this to my left hip. I'm going to use my hand here as a reference point. When I have a blade, sometimes what you'll have is a tendency for the tip to come back towards you. I don't want that, so when I stop it here, I keep the weapon from traveling too far behind me. When I have it here, I can use this hand to throw. I can also just stop it right here. So when I have this here, I know not to go back any further. when I go forward, I circle the blade straight down in this circle. So when I turn this way, this is what this should look like. So think of this as coming straight down and cutting your target in half vertically. So review, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now, our 9 and 10 cut lines, excuse me, our 9 and 10 lines are going to be the upward diagonal. The 9 starts from the right hip and goes upward diagonally. The 10 goes upward diagonally from your left hip. Think of this like swinging a tennis racket, forehand and backhand. So 9, 10. So this would be your X working from the bottom up. Okay? So review. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay? Your 11 and 12 line. These are vertically up, just like an uppercut. The other way this can come is just like your backhand upward. As long as it's going straight up, that's your 11 line. 12 is straight down. So 11, 12. So you have your 3 and 4 that are horizontal. This is your vertical, both direction. Okay, so review. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Now, I'm a righty. I may need to use my left hand. Essentially, you would do the exact same thing, mirror image. We're not trying to match line for line. That gets a little bit too confusing for the brain, however you can do it. So I'd look 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. You want to work both hands after you get the patterning down. That way you develop coordination and dexterity in both hands. Also, your dominant hand, which for me is a right hand, may be occupied. I may need to use that line with my left in order to be effective against my assailant. So work your 12 lines. These lines are in every single technique that we are going to do in some sort of way. Enjoy.